Hi, welcome. Today we have Melissa Bateman, who's one of 3 candidates running for the position of Select Board in the town of Kingston. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Nice to have you, and we're going to dive right into question number 1.
Okay.
Okay. The 34-article annual warrant to be voted on at town meeting was recently reviewed by the Select Board. The operating budget was not included in that discussion, yet many capital expenditures were. What is your view on the overall budget being considered, and where do you put your priorities?
So I think our most difficult budget that's come up right now is the school budget. And so...
Okay, why is that?
I think there has been some difficulties with the school budget, and I think that is coming to a head for us as a town. And I think that's one of the big priorities for me, is to try to figure that out, get to the bottom of it. What's happening? Why is there such a deficit?
So that's the problem. There's a huge deficit with the school budget?
Deficit with the school budget. So they've lost funding somewhere along the line, and they're trying to figure out. They didn't want to put teachers out. They didn't want to have to cut. So they're going to make some big changes at the town meeting floor because...
On the floor?
Yeah,
They're going to suggest changes to articles on the floor?
I believe so. That's what I've been told.
So does the town yet know what they're getting from the state for funds for this per pupils?
I believe they do, but I think there's been a change, and at some point in time during the course of that, the school boards and school committee made some changes, and they're trying to figure out how to fill that in, I guess. And there's more information I need to figure out with that too, because it's so new to everyone,
right.
These changes.
So you actually almost have 2 budgets for schools in Kingston, correct? You have the elementary,
correct.
And then you have your part of the Silver Lake Regional.
Exactly.
Is that what makes it more complicated?
I believe so. I think that's where the problem lies. I believe that it had been the Silver Lake Regional School District budget is what became the issue.
Okay.
And I know that they had to kind of move monies into different buckets, and I think that is that's where the challenge lies for us.
And who is paying for what? And yeah.
Exactly.
Now, are there issues with kids from other school districts that come in to the programs at Silver Lake?
I believe so, and I believe what they needed to do, and I do need to get more information on that, but originally with our special education budget and the preschool, I think that's where the first part of this issue came up. So I don't exactly know how they're planning on moving around that budget, but they're going to need to do some big changes.
Okay. Do you have any indication of whether or not the school committee or the powers that be will provide the residents with information before town meeting?
That would be really helpful, but I haven't seen that yet. So I think that we're going to be expected to make decisions at that town meeting, and I'm not sure everyone's going to have all the information they need. So it's definitely going to be something we need to dig into.
Okay, all right. Now, what about capital expenditures? There were quite a few discussed at the last select board meeting. What are your opinions on those?
Well, I think that's an area for me, being on the recreation department, it's kind of a new avenue for me. So I think I think that's something I'm going to have to learn from my fellow select board members. But there are a lot of budget changes and differences that we're having in town. We just hired a new police chief, and I know that those budgets, and for the recreation department, we needed to vote to keep our budget at level funding. And so I think, we're in a tight crunch right now. I think the town of Kingston is trying to keep everything where it needs to be.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
So what would you say personally, if you had a mandate of priorities, what would your priority be when you're deciding on a budgetary issue?
So I think I have to think about the community. I've lived here my whole life. I have to kind of gauge, what does the community need? What do they want? And I think it has to be a priority for everyone. It can't just be something that we want personally. So I think going out into the community, looking and seeing what people really need and want, I think is going to be really important.
And how would you address that with the community? How would you ask the community what they want?
I think being out and seen in the community is important. I think offering forums for members to come. I think visiting the Council on Aging is always a great place to get feedback from residents.
Okay, so more to come on that budget.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the senior population.
Sure.
Every town is experiencing a massive growth in their senior population, and Kingston's no different. Looking back and looking ahead, how effective are the services that are offered to seniors, and do you have any thoughts on how services could be expanded or improved?
Sure. I think that that's a hot topic right now. So our seniors are an important part of our community. Most of them have been there their whole lives. They expect, to be cared for and to be heard and to be listened to. And I think that is a big priority for me. I need to get in there. I need to listen. I need to hear. I know there's been big changes in what the Council on Aging has supported for them. So I know that their luncheons are a big priority for them, and they went to the Board of Selectmen and they asked for different luncheons, and they wanted their friends to bring back their luncheons that they were used to before.
The Friends?
The Friends of the Council on Aging.
Oh, okay. So the Friends of the Council on Aging, how do they work with the Council on Aging? What is the Friends of the Council on Aging?
So in the past, it has been an organization that I know of that provided lunches, cupcakes for them for their birthdays, and I know a lot of volunteers, young kids would go in and they would help serve the lunches for the seniors, and I was able to participate in some of their bingo nights, and so I think that that's something that the Friends on the Council of Aging were looking forward to bringing that back. I think they've changed that. They now do like a carry lunch and breakfast option for the seniors, but I'm not sure if that's working for them. They
Do you know
seem to
why
want
that
more.
changed from where it was before?
I don't. I only listened to a little bit of it at a meeting, and it seemed that there were 30-something letters that were sent to the Board of Selectmen that they wanted to have that changed, and
They wanted to go
didn't.
back to what it was
They wanted
before.
to go back to
Okay.
what they were before. And so that's something I need to get in. I need to talk to them and figure out what those changes were. I'm assuming it was a budget change, but I'm not sure. So that's more information I've got to dig out.
What are the different services that are offered to seniors through the senior center?
So I know that they do the Meals on Wheels for seniors. They offer a beautiful Council on Aging center that seniors can go. They play cards. They can have their time together. But seniors need to interact with their community, and it's difficult for them sometimes because they need transportation there. And so I know that there are transportation provided for some seniors, but I think we need to do more. I think we have to dig deep and kind of figure out a way to say yes to them when they're asking for something that they need, because they've been here in this community for a long time.
Right. Now, and speaking of seniors, do you know if anything is happening with seniors and their housing? I know in Plymouth, they just passed a accessory dwelling unit bylaw so that seniors who maybe want to stay in their houses but can't afford to can have a separate kind of unit made in their home and then rent out the rest of the home, or vice versa. They can rent out a small unit and keep the home. Has that ever been discussed in Kingston?
I haven't heard of that, but
Okay.
it definitely could have been discussed. But that is definitely an area of the way to help the seniors, looking outside of the box and making things a lot more accessible for them. So that would be a great opportunity if we haven't thought of it yet.
Okay. Anything else on the senior center or senior population in general?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
And we'll go to question number 3. What do you consider the very biggest challenge to the town of Kingston? And what aspect of the municipality do you think right now they do really well?
So I think we serve our community really well. We have a great recreation department. We offer community events for the town. We make sure that all of the parts and properties that we own are accessible to everyone. We keep them up really well. Our playgrounds have all been rebuilt and redone. Our fields for our kids to play on are a big priority for the town. We currently have to do some well digging and a re-digging of a well, and that was a big priority for a lot of the kids for their playability on the fields. And so I think Kingston does a really nice job with that. I think one of the areas that concerns me is the growth in Kingston.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So when you talk about growth,
Sure.
are you talking about residential growth? Are you talking about commercial growth? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, well, we do need commercial growth because we need that tax bracket. But I think what I'm talking about more is just the building of new apartment buildings and bringing in new areas and conserving what we have that's beautiful for this unique town. I think that worries people. I think they see the town that it was a very small, unique little place to be, and they don't want it to turn into a big town. And I think that's a difficult balance, because we need the taxes and we need that tax bracket to help us. But I think that worries people. And I think we have to kind of figure out, what are we going to do? What do we want to be? What do we want this town to look like? And I
What
think
would you
that's
like to
future.
see, if you had the magic wand and you could decide, what would you say, first for residential developments, what would you suggest and what would you want to see happen?
I would love for us to be able to cap it at some point. I know that that's not even something legally that we can do. But the new buildings of our residential areas are taking over our woods, like our conservation areas, and that worries me. The little small town that I grew up in is definitely not what it is now. But I also know that housing is a crisis for everyone. And I think those are difficult challenges, but I feel like we need to take a hold of that now before it gets too out of hand. I think people want to keep it that way.
Now, what about the MBTA communities issue?
Right.
If you can talk about what your opinion on that is,
Sure.
and what it is for anybody who doesn't know.
Sure. So my opinion on it is that I think it's something that we're kind of forced. Our hand is forced in. I have seen some great towns around us that have kind of put their foot down and to stop that. I would like us to not just easily do this. I think that we need to look into it. I think that we need to really feel it out. Is it something that we have to do? I feel like it is something we have to do, but that worries people. And so I think we have to figure out a way to inform the public, be transparent about it. How are we going to make this happen?
So, if I understand it properly, within a certain amount of area around MBTA commuters rail, which you obviously have in Kingston, you have to have X amount of
Right.
affordable housing.
Exactly.
That's the whole idea, is so that people can use that system to go in and out to work if they need to. So why is that not a good idea?
I think the challenge is it isn't that it isn't a good idea. We need to know, what affordable housing do we have now? We're supposed to know that number, and I'm not sure we know that number accurately.
I mean, what percentage of your housing is actually affordable?
Correct.
And do you know
we know that.
what affordable is for Kingston?
I don't know what that number is. I'd have to research that.
Okay.
But it is something we're going to have to do. Affordable housing is important. And it has to be done the right way, and we have to find locations that it's going to work for, and then in turn we have to make sure that we have the schools are going to be able to accept the town,
the students,
exactly.
So the infrastructure has to be able to follow any
absolutely
any
before
expansion.
we jump right into it.
Right. Now, what
for
about
sure.
commercial development? Now, Kingston has
We do
a good amount of commercial development.
I feel like we do.
But you're saying, and I heard you say, and I think everybody in any town would say, you need more,
Right,
because of the
right.
tax base it brings
Sure.
in, and the jobs it creates.
Absolutely.
So, what is your thought on commercial development as it's been done so far, and how it should be doing going forward?
Sure. I think that we need to find the right places for it in town. I know no one wants it in their backyard, right? No one wants it next to them. No one wants it in their neighborhood, but we need it. So I want to use what we have currently to the best of its ability we can. I know there's different ways that Hanover, for instance, has gone in and done a great job with their new mall and their new system and how they did that. And I think that's something Kingston has to look at. We need developers to come in and want to do these things in town, but we need them in the right places.
Now, what about zoning? Do you think you have the proper amount of zoning to do that, or do you need to have zoning changes?
I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look into that.
Okay.
That could be.
Because that's a big
the
factor.
problem.
And where
Absolutely.
can you put something? It depends on, is it zoned for that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so more to come on that. The fourth question I have is communication to and from residents is paramount for any municipality.
Absolutely.
With a lack of local papers, the time constraints of actually upkeeping websites, information on websites, and the often opinion versus fact messaging in social media, how would you improve overall communications from the town to the residents?
So I think we need to, I would love to bring back the newspaper. I think that we need to be able to inform our residents. Not everyone goes online. Not everyone uses the website. Our website looks wonderful now. I think we've done a great job updating that. But I think that we need to figure out ways to get information out to people. And that's us personally, maybe going to the Council on Aging, maybe going to community events and being able to say, hey, this is where you look for information, this is where you need to find it. I think we can do a better job with that. Our website does look great. I think we've done a great job updating that, but getting information out is really important. I would love a newspaper, bring that back again.
Well, I mean, I think that's...
You know, absolutely.
Unfortunately, the local papers are the ones that were printed anyway are
I know.
gone by the wayside. It's
Absolutely.
mostly online.
Right.
And you'd have to have a group that wants to do it.
Right.
You know, and it's a difficult product to create.
It is.
In this day and age.
And it's expensive, and
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So is there any other way to communicate? I know on social media there's a lot of
Sure.
opinions that are given out, and it's not necessarily fact. Does the town have its own social media account where it can put information?
We do. I don't see it utilized as often as it could. There is, like, the recreation department has a Facebook page,
Yep.
and that information goes out a lot. And we have someone that updates it. So it could be a matter of needing someone that can do that in a timely manner. And, you know, our Kingston Police Department has one.
Yep.
But it would be nice to be able to have a little bit more updates to keep people in the know.
Right.
I think that's important.
Meet people where they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And we did find through COVID that a lot of seniors did end up learning, if they didn't know how to,
Yes.
Use online services.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that's as much of a detriment as it used to be.
No, I
for
don't
the senior
think so.
population.
And I think the Kingston Library does a great job with helping with those, and they've kept up with the times, so to
Yeah.
speak, and they're definitely there to help people. So I think that that's been a great asset. We have a great library system, we have a great rec department, and I think all of those places people can go to for information as well.
Right. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question since we do have time. If you get on the Board of Selectmen, you will be one of five, or Select Board, excuse me, you'll be
Yep.
one of five.
Yep.
So how do you kind of weigh the difference between your personal opinion and what is best for the entire town, which people might not agree with your personal opinion?
Absolutely not.
How
Right.
do you do that?
I think that I do that with practice. I've been on the Kingston Rec Department for 12 years, and that
Okay.
is definitely helpful in that area because there are a lot of things that I personally want to do or I want to see happen, and I realize that that might not be the majority. And I think that communication within the town, the community, and most importantly with that select board is going to be paramount in making sure that we can decide what's important for the town, what's going to be in the best interest for the community, and our personal opinions are important, but I think that those have to go to the wayside when the community speaks. So.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. So now you're going to have 2 minutes to give a statement to the voters as to why they should vote for you. So.
Hi, thank you for having me today. My name is Melissa Bateman. I'm running for the Kingston Board of Selectmen. A few things that I'd like to accomplish on the Board of Selectmen. First and foremost, I want to be a positive voice for Kingston. I love this town. There are so many good people that live and work here. I want to support them to the best of my ability. I want to help the current Board of Selectmen make difficult decisions collectively as a board. I believe this is the main job of the Board of Selectmen, and they should be held accountable to do so. Each time decisions are delayed, it costs the town money, resources, and time. Making difficult decisions will require a mix of work and volunteer experience, combined with the ability to participate in constructive, cooperative discussion with a laser focus on outcomes at all times. I'm confident I can bring this combination of experience and skills to the Board of Selectmen. I don't think it will be easy. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm willing to take it head on. Right now, my two main priorities: to address the Council on Aging challenges. I'm sure there are several perspectives to it, and I want to hear them all. I would like to act swiftly to resolve this with my fellow selectmen. I'd also like to tackle the current Silver Lake Regional School District budget overrun. This is a complicated issue, and it's going to require a lot of support. I plan to leverage my background as a teacher, a political action leader, and use my experience as a member of the contract negotiation team. to be a positive solution for this. As a member of the Board of Selectmen, I plan to bring critical thinking and healthy discussion and the community's input to the forefront. I would like to make decisions, the easy and the hard ones. I support positive leadership in the town departments, not just on the Board of Selectmen, but all around. I like to encourage more community involvement in town government and be a positive voice for Kingston. I hope that I can get your vote on May 18th. I do have a website and a Facebook page, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Melissa. We wish you the best of luck during your campaign and during this election season. And please, please make your voices heard by voting on or before May 18th in the Kingston town election. Thank you and good day.